Hey, this is James at Western Welding Academy. Let's do a little test. I got an $80 welding rig. I got about a $250 welding rig. We're gonna test them out and see which one's a little bit better. My feeling is NASCAR drivers don't drive Hondas. They drive NASCARs, right? We're gonna see which one's better. The $80 TIG torch from any discount store, discount tool store you can find. I feel like it'd probably do the job at home on some little welder for body work, auto body work, whatever. But what I notice about these 150 amp TIG torches, that cable, while it seems pretty thick, you have your copper, your electric feed inside this hose here, and they're usually pretty small. It's not very thick copper. We're gonna push this up. I'm gonna hit it with 400 amps, hopefully, and see what happens to it. I imagine we'll burn it up and it'll pop a hole, but pretty lightweight. You can feel it's a little bit more flimsy. Single hose, so if you damage that hose, you got to get a new hose, new copper cable, new everything, right? You can keep the head, but the hose has got to go if you damage it. The high dollar TIG torch, the professional TIG torch, you're looking at $200, $250 for something like this. The first thing I want you to notice, they got the hose and they got the electric cable separate. This is like a 2-aught welding lead right here, basically. This is probably 2 to 3 times thicker than that 150 amp. It's going to be rated for 250. It'll probably push well over that. And then you got a separate hose. So the key to this is if you damage the hose or you damage a cable, there's a way to splice that. You don't necessarily have to replace that hose if you get a little bit of ingenuity involved. You can put a splice kit in here, you can clamp that together, whatever you got to do, but much heavier head size is key. This bigger handle is going to be where a welder's really going to like it. You're going to get less cramps in your hand, a little less fatigue. These little bitty handles like this, they'll wear you out after a while hanging on to them. This is a flex head, of course. This is not a flex head. Flex head meaning you can twist that however you need to get a different position. You can see the diameter of that guy compared to the diameter of that guy. There's many differences. Heavier, lighter. That's just the way it's going to be when you get a 250 amp, 300 amp TIG torch compared to a 150. And they get smaller on one end and they get much bigger on the other. But these are the most common too. I just want to mention the build quality on these things. This is probably mass produced in a factory somewhere. I happen to know this guy hand makes his right now. I'm sure that'll change in the future when he gets more sales or whatever, but from his heart, he's building these one by one and he doesn't want any of them to fail. So a lot better, a lot hardier, gets input, feedback from welders, I'm sure, to tell him what is the best way to do it. We got it all set up now. We're gonna run this thing right up to its limit, 150 amps, and then right after that, we're gonna throw the maxine on her. We're gonna max that machine out, see if we can get 400 amps out of it. I think we'll burn it up though. That's our goal. So it actually runs pretty good at 150 amps. Did pretty good at its rated max capacity. I'm sure they put some sort of safety factor in there. Probably really good for 200. We're gonna exceed that by far. 425 amps on a XMT 350 Field Pro. I'm a little nervous. This is hot. I had to throw a stick glove on because it's getting too hot to hold on to. I think we lost argon. There you have it, it's no good. I can't get argon enough out of it to get it to do it. Yeah, burn a hole in it somewhere. Yep. There she went. No moss. Okay, we're gonna run the amplified, same heat, 425, see how she fares. You guys see that flame out the bottom? Get my feet out of the way so I don't drop one of them down my boot. I don't know, what do you think? Amplified held up. So the amplified, the handle didn't get quite as hot. It holds the heat a lot better. Now they're both gonna get hot down here on the lead because it's probably about the same size. The difference with this is that hose isn't gonna burn up like the hose does on this. Really, I think the worst of it is the hose popped. We lost our argon on the 150 amp, the cheapie, and this little head here is not good for that amperage. What did the most damage was the heat coming off the plate, bouncing off of that neck right there. Other than that, it held up okay. Popped the hose, lost argon, kind of expected it. Amplified, it held up good. The benefit is your lead's not inside your hose. Your lead gets hot, it doesn't pop the hose on there. Amplified feels a little heavier. It's the way to go, I think. It's good for the shop, good for the mechanic, good for home. I think it'd take 150 amps all day long. Like I said, if I'm in a bind, I'll go get one of them if there's no welding supply store anywhere.